Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Charlestown Common Council. Today is July 7th, 2025. It is 6:30 p.m. We'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone could please join.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Tonight for our invocation, we have Donnie Rourke from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the new sports director of Southern Indiana. Welcome.
Hi, welcome. Thank you guys. Appreciate you offering to have me here. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for the opportunity just to gather just in this country as we just celebrated this weekend the freedoms that we have, Lord. And we just thank you for the men and women who step up and that graciously give their time and energy to serve our community. Many of them have been doing it for such a long time now, and their dedication, their passion, their commitment is very clear and evident. So I thank you for each of the representatives that are here serving the community. I thank you for Mayor Hodges and just the commitment that she's given over the last several years. And Father, just continue to guide them, give them wisdom and counsel as they look to grow our city, just welcome our community members, and just give opportunity for youth and for young and old, everybody in between, to be able to have chances to thrive within Charlestown. We love this community. We thank you for placing us here as you have tonight. I just ask that you guide them, and may they do everything that they're doing to serve and honor you, and to just provide the best opportunities that we can in our community. Father, it's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can drop them off. Good to go. Thank you, sir.
All right, we'll have our roll call. Bill Bertram.
Here.
Ronnie Blevins.
Here.
Shannon Elder.
Here.
Brian Hester.
Here.
Chuck Eaton.
Here.
Let the record show that we do have a quorum, and Mayor Hodges and Clerk Treasurer Donna Coomer are also present, as well as both attorneys, City Attorney Perry McCall and Council Attorney Michael Lauder. We have an agenda that's been provided. I do need to make one addition. I don't think we received it in time. It's supposed to be sent to both attorneys, but it is so item C under new business will be pledge agreement for the Southern Indiana Tourism Grant. And I'll explain more as we get there. I need to amend the agenda to include that item. And with that amendment, I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ronnie Blevins.
I'll second.
Second by Shannon Elder. Any other questions or edits? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. We have our standing business, which includes the minutes from your meeting on June 2nd, the current claims, and the payroll allowance docket from May 26th until June 29th. Need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Ronnie Blevins. Second by Shannon Elder. Any questions or edits? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Anyone sign up for public comment? I don't believe so. And of course it's summer, so our legislative youth advisor is, like most summer people in the summer, here in the dwindling few weeks we have left in the wind. Mayor's comments. Of course, most of you saw that we did have to cancel the big events on the 28th due to the rain out that we experienced. It happens. It's just sometimes nature's way of cleansing things off and saying, you're done. We were glad that we had pretty good attendance through most of our events throughout the week, so it wasn't a complete washout. As far as things that are coming up, this Friday we do have music in the park here on the city square that evening, and so I think it's one of the rock runs, if I'm not mistaken, so it'll be a busy night on the city square. And then of course Saturday morning is the backpack giveaway, and that starts at 9 at the Family Activities Park and goes until noon. So certainly welcome to come out, hang out. We'd love to see you. Help us give away some backpacks. They have 400 to give away, and we'll probably go through all of them, so hope to see you there. And that's all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll open it up to council comments as well.
I will say that I seen a post for the Charlestown Police Department today.
Yes.
They made a very, very awesome arrest on a very big investigation.
Yes.
I think they took a lot of moving parts, and I want to thank Detective Crace and Brody for all they've done. I mean, getting that done with the airport authority and multiple agencies, and I think, you know, we look out for a lot of people in the city, and citizens are one thing, but the other side, you've seen a lot of people come up and they talk about that. They're on a fixed income. I mean, they have what they have, and that's about it. That's what they live on. So I think being able to make that whole for, or at least somewhat whole for some of those people is a really big deal, and it shows a lot for our police department. So I want to thank them for that.
Thank you. Yeah, so what he's mentioning is a fraud investigation that came to culmination. It was actually an international, involved international. So there was a man who is a Canadian citizen who allegedly was coming to Indiana and defrauding elderly people of money for services that he never provided. And so our local guys here followed it down. I think they had over 21 or 22 warrants, search warrants that they've executed in this case. And then they were finally able to make the arrest with the cooperation of the Louisville Airport Police. He was arrested and found to have, I think it was $87,000 at that time, where he would transport it back and move on. So definitely defending of the elderly in our community. They did a good job.
Saying that he was a Canadian citizen and had come down in like April, I think it was, you said. I mean, you should imagine within 2 hours you're gone.
Yeah.
So.
It was great work on their part. Absolutely. Any other,
Yep, and it was a shame that things got canceled. I just want to tell the city workers and you and the people that worked on it, thanks for all they did. It's just disappointing that, the hard work, it didn't come out, but their work went noticed, and we appreciate all the work they did.
thank you. I know they appreciate it. All right. Moving into old
I
business.
got one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
We've done a lot of work with the police department and trying to raise their pay, and I have some friends who are on other departments, and he kind of gave me a hard time the other day about, you're paying your officers too much now, because I can't keep my officers now, and we can't raise their pay, so it's nice to hear that our officers are finally getting what they needed to get.
Turnabout fair play, right? We were in that boat for a long time.
So it's nice to see that they're getting those things, and other people are noticing it, so it was nice.
Yep. Good deal. All right. So we'll move into our agenda items for the old business. You have the second and final reading of ordinance 2025 OR10. This is the ordinance adopting the payment in lieu of taxes for the River Ridge Development Authority. We need a motion to get this moving forward on second and final reading.
So moved.
Motion by Brian Hester,
Second.
second by Chuck Deaton. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. That moving along with them. And now keep in mind that will take effect January 1, so it'll be calculated for next year. Go from there. Next up, under new business, we have resolution 2025 R8 urging improved EMS response times. Councilman Blevins is the one who's introduced this resolution, so I will let him explain it. We just need a motion and a second to get it on the table for conversation.
I won't pass it around. I got it. Do that with yours.
Well, I already got one. There's
This
4
is back
pages.
here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
yes, all right.
This is not explaining myself.
Let's see. Oh, and this is one.
I think it's,
Sorry.
Oh, I think I have the 2 sets here. You said it was 4 pages?
Yeah.
I have 2 sets if somebody didn't.
There may be an extra copy.
everybody have a set? You should have, what was it,
February,
January?
March,
And April. January through April, right?
I think I made a copy for myself and already have one.
Okay.
All right, so do we have a motion to put this on the table for discussion? Make a motion. Motion by Shannon Elder, is there a second?
I'll say,
Second by Brian Hester, open for discussion.
Okay, so I'd like to introduce this ordinance, or this resolution, 2025 R08. It's addressing a critical issue that I believe directly affects the health and safety of all of our residents in Charlestown, and that is the emergency medical response times within our city. On May 18th, a medical emergency occurred in our city, and the response time was over 20 minutes. Okay, and before I go further, I want to be clear that this is not an attack on the men and women who is out there doing the work every day. This is not an attack on them, okay? I believe this starts at the top. It starts at the leadership level. And so I just want to make sure that is clear. They perform, difficult work in many different challenging conditions, and we're all great. I know we're all grateful for their service. However, the incident, I believe this incident is not an isolated one. Monthly response time data shows consistent delays in our community. So this resolution is about acknowledging the problems and demanding accountability and beginning a serious conversation between the city of Charlestown, the county, and Heartland Ambulance Service about ways that we can improve the emergency response times for our citizens, especially in cases where lives are on the line. So I would greatly appreciate support for this resolution from my fellow council members.
Other comments?
So I talked to a few people about it, I guess. I talked to Ronnie a little bit more today. One question was, why did it come up? I was reading into the resolution that he's put out, and in part number 4, talks about working with the Office of the Mayor of Charlestown, designated city officials, EMS needs, including the possibility of city-county cooperative agreements, funding support, or mutual aid strategies. Number one, I don't see where Charleston's going to find any funding support money for that. I know this is a resolution, this is not, we're signing our life away with an ordinance, but I don't see with the budget that again, this is my second year, but with the budget you provided last year, you got Senate Bill 1, you got other stuff that's coming down. I don't foresee anywhere in the near future of a funding support type thing. The main thing I want to know is, and I agree with Ronnie, this is not towards anybody. I think it does start at the top. Everything starts at the top and works its way down. But the question I ask is to write a resolution and put something in there as a city council. As a citizen, yeah, we can go to the county, we can talk to whoever we want. But putting something out there as a city council or as a city or whatever, I look at the fact, how many people have been to an EMS subcommittee meeting in the county? I haven't. I just learned about them. I haven't been there. I talked to Doug Bentfield today with the county health department. I've talked to county commissioners, I've talked to county councilmen, I've talked to the chief of police, I've talked to a lot of people, and the consensus is there are isolated incidents. You brought up May 18th, and there are. And I give you all a group of papers. If you look at the first line or the first box, which is right here on the top, the one thing I ask about is I've been involved in police, fire, EMS for over 25 years. I've been involved in it since I was 18 years old. And the number one thing I wish I could have done, and on many, many occasions, one night of a fire run keeps me awake at night, still to this day, I wish I could have got there quicker. I don't think there's any first responder out there that wish they couldn't have got somebody a little bit quicker. And when you deal with children, you really think about that and it sticks with you. But talking to Mr. Bentfield and talking to some of the other people I've talked to, just because, again, when you throw a resolution out there, you're pretty much saying, listen, you're not doing it to our standards. We want you to do better. We want transparency. And I don't feel it's right to do that until we get to the point where we have exhausted all of our other options. I don't know if anybody else has been to that meeting on the subcommittee, but all this data that I give you all is provided online. The call to the scene, if you look in January, it was 13 minutes and 46 seconds. In February, it actually went backwards. It was 14 minutes and 20 seconds. But in March, it was 12 minutes and 57 seconds. And in April, it went up to 12 minutes, or went down to 12 minutes and 37 seconds. And if you look on that, it doesn't matter what page you're looking on, Charlestown is the number 3 town, city, however they want to break it down in here, they get some runs. Talking to people with the health department, 911 dispatch center, county commissioners, everything else. Jeffersonville had 562 just in January, or 806 total requests in January. Clarksville had 506, so obviously you're gonna have a couple more ambulances down there than you will in Charlestown. But the third place they put in ambulances in Charlestown is 144 total requests for EMS. And then in April, we had a total of 153, which is 9 more, and they lowered their time by 12 minutes and 37 seconds. Talking to those people in that subcommittee meeting, they talk about where to stage an ambulance. They talk about where to put them, what kind of truck to put where. And being involved in the EMS service, that means a lot to me, because it's not, you're never gonna know who needs the next ambulance. Never know if I'm gonna need one right here, right now. I mean, it's just one of those things that you never know. So you can only plan by the data you have from the month prior, or the 2 months prior, that time of year, the year before. And you try to work through that, but personally, talking to those people, the times could always be better, and that's what they're trying to work on. They said that Heartland EMS is very, I don't know anything about the company whatsoever, just from what I've read in the resolution and what I've heard and talked to people. But they've been very adaptable. They, if Mr. Bentfield or Dr. Yazel or whoever asks them to move an ambulance to a certain place, they do that. They work all that through AI to try to find the best dispatch location, best center location for them. It may be a little bit delayed because we are a little bit rural compared to Jeffersonville and Clarksville, but they say the service of the personnel that works the ambulance is far better than any service they've ever had in Clark County. And that goes back to the Sellersburg days. They are still working on things. They're working on staging areas. They're planning meetings. They're doing a bunch of stuff, and I wouldn't suggest that, me personally, that I don't have a problem with the resolution, but I think everybody needs to, before I would like to vote on it or go any forward, I'd like to go to a subcommittee meeting and see what they're all about. Talk to them. They said that if you come in and you ask a question, is people that are paramedics, fire chiefs, police chiefs, health department, 911 dispatch, all those professionals in that field are the ones on that subcommittee. Their suggestions and what they want to see happen going forward goes back to the commissioners. And then they take the suggestions of the subcommittee and then they vote on that to put an ordinance in or a plan into effect and move forward from there. So even though I would love a response time, I would love for the police to be at my house in 2 minutes when I need them, I know that's not physically possible. You know, and May 18th of 2025, there may have been something happen that day, that EMS was somewhere else or they were on another call, and no one person is more important than the other. So I put all those things into my mind, and 25 years worth of it. Even though I'd like to see it, I'd still like us to, I guess, give them a shot. Let them come here to talk to us if we want them to, give them an opportunity to do that before we go and sign a resolution that says, hey, we're expecting more, but we haven't given you a chance yet. That's just my thoughts.
For the council's information, as far as you're considering this resolution, I regularly have folks, so we do have representation looking into this. So Chuck Ledbetter serves on the 911 board, and we have representation through our chief on both the operational board and the fiscal board. So both of them serve on each on one of those boards. And I have had Chuck running numbers in Charlestown based on CAD information, and there's a little bit of an additional breakdown that I have asked for. So Dr. Yazel from the health department and I communicate regularly, and I communicate with members of the county commissioners fairly regularly as well about this issue. I think one of the things that the resolution asks for that I think is significant, I understand the fiscal concern, and it may be that the resolution could be amended to pull just that second half of that phrase out to talk about that. But I think one of the strengths of the resolution is in the second clause where it's asking for under number 2A, and then the new enumerations. More specifically, a breakout of response times that distinguishes between basic medical care and advanced life support calls. That is something I asked for several months ago and have not received. And so when Councilman Blevins talked to me, when he drafted this and talked to me about it and asked me what information I had just from the day-to-day duties of my job, I told him, I've asked for this breakdown and have not received it. And that's where I think that the resolution has a little bit of weight to say, we're seriously interested in that information. And I understand how complicated it is to get that information, because I've had those conversations with Dr. Gazel as well, as to what classifies as advanced or not, or whatever. But there's a huge difference between a basic life support call for a lymph assist and an advanced life support with an unconscious individual. And when I am personally much more concerned about the duration of time on those advanced life support. How long is someone unconscious before someone gets there? That to me is very concerning, because I have heard personal stories from people where those calls have been, and so my phone is ringing pretty steadily every couple of months about some individuals that have experienced those offshots that you're talking about, Chuck. So I've asked them for that information, and I think that is important for us to receive that information. It may be inviting them here, they could give us that check. That's a good idea, to perhaps have them, report that to us, since I haven't received it in documentation yet. The other thing is that I've asked over a year now, pretty much since New Chapel went away and Harlan came in. I have been following and making requests that the cooperative agreement for all of the units of government be amended to allow for more home rule when it comes to EMS coverage. So for instance, if in a magic world we had the money to fund ambulance service just for the citizens of Charlestown, let's say that for whatever reason we had a surplus of money that we could spend. It actually would do us no good under the current cooperative agreement, because even if we were funding 1.5 or 2 ambulances of our own to work in Charlestown, that's not the way that they are dispatched. They are dispatched based off of location. And so, as you can see from the call volume, if we funded an ambulance, let's say we found a way to give, supplement an ambulance that would work with Charlestown Volunteer Fire Department. Just throwing ideas. I'm not saying anybody's had those conversations, just saying, what if we were able to do that, it would still do us no good, because as soon as that ambulance drops somebody off at the hospital and they're back in service, they're gonna be dispatched based off where they are. And with the high volume of calls that are coming from Jeffersonville and Clarksville, our ambulance is never gonna be providing service in the city of Charlestown, it's gonna be providing service in those communities. So I have requested several times that there be more latitude in that mutual cooperation agreement to allow municipalities to have some control over what happens. And I think there's strength in that, because when you look at the outlying communities, their response times are significantly higher, and that is concerning. So those are just some of the things that I think that were strengths of the resolution. I understand the concerns about the money. I've also spoken to members from the health department that have expressed concern about the workload for the staff at Heartland, the amount of overtime they're having to put in, and the fatigue that is causing, and that is a real issue that they're beginning to combat. And so when you look at the numbers overall from the whole duration that they've been in service, what seems to happen are these marginal shifts where when one community is noted that their times are high, they adjust it, and they start paying a little more attention to that community to the detriment of another community. And so then that number, that communities are higher, so then they go there, and then the cycle just continues to repeat itself. So I don't want to speak out of turn. I think that you've brought some good, obviously, be more involved. But in the conversation that we had when Councilman Blevins brought this forward and said, I want to put this on the agenda, it came from a place more of, we want to make sure that we are being included in the conversation. Not that we're saying anybody's doing anything wrong, but hey, don't forget about us. We want to do right by our residents and make sure that we are being included in that conversation. And so far, just the phone calls that I've had with people who are in those conversations haven't really resulted in us getting the information that we need. So, just that, just putting that out for some information on where we've been with this.
And I kinda go back to the pilot ordinance that we just passed the second time. You had conversations about all that with River Ridge, and that conversation actually went somewhere. At the point it didn't, we gotta do what we gotta do to protect the city and the citizens of the city. We can't pull police officers to go to River Ridge if we're not gonna have funding for that part right there. So I kinda feel the same way about this. If you went and done the homework with River Ridge and approached them and met with them and all that, that's great. That's exactly what needed to be done. But I don't feel that effort that you put forth in that ordinance has been put forth here yet. I would like to see people go to that subcommittee meeting, raise those concerns. If those concerns aren't addressed, I didn't know anything about what you just said until today, but if those concerns aren't addressed, absolutely. We'll go to resolution then. I mean, absolutely, I would love to see the way to find money to support and have our own ambulance, even though you're right, it ain't gonna work that way. As an EMS or first responder, I can't pass a wreck. So no matter where it's at. If I'm a police officer in the city of Charlestown, I'm transporting somebody to jail and I'm on my way back, somebody wrecks in front of me in the city of Jeffersonville, they have to stop. If not, city of Charleston will let it report. So I would like to see the same homework done with each and every resolution or ordinance that we put forth here as a body, like you've done. I'd like to see that done on each and every one. That's all I ask. And they have a meeting July 15th at 1 o'clock, and I plan to be there.
You know, I think it's important that as elected officials, and I understand what you're saying, okay? But as elected officials, it is our duty to make sure that our citizens is getting the service that they need and that they deserve. Every minute counts. And I have heard from people out there that I represent that said they waited 20 minutes, they waited 30 minutes, okay? And I don't think we need to normalize that, okay? I think it may be just they're stretched thin, okay? I'm sure they are. I spoke to someone that is affiliated with the EMS, and they told me that they are hurting for help, okay? So we need to do what we can, and we do fund the ambulance. We do have a right and have a voice in this. I've got some numbers. In 2020, going back to 2023, in our public safety LIT fund, we received $263,805. They took out of that $42,209 for public safety. In 2025, in the LIT fund, public safety LIT, it was $291,014, and they took out of that roughly between $40,000 to $45,000. So I think we have a say in this. And what I want to see at the end of the day, this is not about pointing fingers. I'm not pointing fingers, okay? But at the end of the day, I just want to see improved response times. I will say that ever since June, some of you know I did a news article with News and Tribune. They reached out to me, wanted to interview. So I interviewed with them. But ever since June, I have been seeing their presence more here around Charlestown. Okay, so if this resolution does nothing but, gets their attention, then so be it. I think it's important. Our citizens deserve an ambulance service who is going to respond in an amount of time. We can't. Like I said, every minute counts, and 30 minutes, 20 minutes. That when somebody's in a cardiac arrest, or something, or another life-threatening, situation, that every minute counts. I've known people, personally, and I have talked to other citizens in the city, that said that they are having that same they had that same situation. Now, there are some people out there that says, you know, they haven't experienced that a long time, waiting, you know, to wait on an ambulance to get there. They haven't experienced that, but a lot of people has. So I don't want to keep kicking this down the road, and the next time somebody gets, you know, needs an ambulance service, it's another 20 minutes for them to get there. So I don't want to keep just pushing this on down the road. And at the end of the day, I just want to see improved response times. That's what this comes down to.
I think I would like to see it across the entire state of the nation. I mean, I
Well,
don't disagree one iota. I just think that you're right, we got people who are protecting the city, and I don't think signing a piece of paper is gonna do that. Going to the people that actually run these departments and run these EMS services, and if I have a problem with the police, I call the chief. I don't even go to the mayor. I mean, no offense to the mayor, but I call the chief and say, hey, what's going on here? And he'll answer me, or he'll say, hey, we need to go talk to the mayor. You know, I wanna give those people that are at the top of that source, the top of that food chain, give them the opportunity to answer you.
And I have. The director of operations does not acknowledge, and I'll say it right here, he does not acknowledge that there have been long response times. Okay, he got on Facebook and he said that's not true. Okay, I know personally that it is true. And I know people that's calling me and telling me that what they have experienced. They're not making this up. So, so it's about, we gotta acknowledge that there's a problem. If you don't acknowledge that there's a problem, then how are we gonna fix it? And this is just shining light, saying, okay, we are calling for collaboration. We, as a council, you know, it'd be nice if we can work with the county council, the county commissioners, the board, Hartman, and have a seat at the table and address our concerns and come up with a solution. Okay, this is not trying to point fingers. I think, like I said, at the end of the day, we need improved response times for the citizens of Charlestown.
Let's do some quick math. Do these things, total runs. In these 4 months, we're averaging 99 runs a month. If you average that over 12 months, and you divide that into $40,000, that's $33 a run. I think something needs to be done, but as soon as we say we need quick response times, they're gonna say, hey, we need more money. So there's a balance that we have to find that balance somewhere. But I think something needs to be done, but we've got to figure it, before we start hammering people and saying you're not doing your job right, I think we gotta figure something out with the balance there first. That's just a little opinion. $33 a run, there's no way that they can stay in the black on $33 a run. And again, that's just really quick math. Just sitting here doing this quick math, so. I'm not a math major, so I may be wrong.
I don't wanna throw this out the window. I mean, I don't wanna kick it down the road either, but I don't wanna throw it out the window, but I would like to go to that subcommittee meeting, because I know what's happening now. I would like the opportunity to go to that, give everybody else the opportunity to go to that if they want to. I did ask specifically if I was to come and I was to address, or if I was to ask concerns, they would address them. Every one of them would. He said we kind of go off on a rabbit hole a lot more than we should. It's not as professional as it seems like it is. We really sit down and we talk about things, and when it comes up, and response time, he said, it's been brought up at every meeting. So I know they're doing strategic things. Tri-Township, Amir with Tri-Township, they're looking at, and I didn't know this till today, but they're looking at doing a collaboration with Heartland Ambulance Service. if there is an ALS run, which Tri-Townships pay for their own ambulance. New Washington has an ambulance between the hours of 7 and 4 or 7 and 5 now, every day, 5 days a week. But if there is an ALS run that comes in Hawthorne Glen or somewhere on the northwest side of town, then Tri-Township's looking at, they will make the run because they will be the closest ambulance versus waiting for Heartland coming from Hucks. So they're putting all these things into place where it helps us. And I mean, we are off the beaten path. I mean, you transport an ambulance, you see the times. Takes a long time to get back from Jeffersonville or New Albany or Louisville at 45 mile an hour on 62. And that's as fast as they're gonna run. And that's the question I'd like to ask as well. You know, I don't want 90.
That's been brought up a few times as to why they're only running.
Talking to them today,
exactly this
it's because of their insurance. Their insurance is just like we changed insurances, 2 or 3 years ago, and they put a lot more restrictions on us. Well, their insurance is the same. There's a lot of restrictions, and I mean, anything, if they get in an accident at 10 over the speed limit, then they're liable. So you gotta put it in a company policy. You gotta cover your own as well, you know? So I'm not trying to kick it down the road. I'm not trying to say that that everybody don't deserve more. I mean, I would love to have an ambulance there in a matter of minutes as well. But I don't want to sign a piece of paper and say, hey, I expect more from you. I at least want to go and tell them. And if it doesn't get addressed, absolutely, I'll come sign in August, whatever the date is. But I think we get more, I think we get more out of it if we give people the opportunity and we actually address it face to face than you do over a piece of paper in a public meeting. That's just me. So I'd like to table it for a month.
Is that a motion?
It is.
We have a motion to table by Chuck Eaton. Is there a second?
I'll second it if we are willing to meet with them.
I'm willing.
Anybody, would you be
So
willing to
moved.
sit down?
So you two?
I'm
I think some discussions need to be had.
willing to meet with whoever, whenever.
I'm not saying this is something we need to delete and get rid of, but this is something we need to have discussions about.
I mean, I agree absolutely, 100%. I think we need to meet with them. If we don't, I mean, if other parties don't, that's fine, but I'd be happy to. I'll go to their office tomorrow. I'm good with it. So I'm passing their office at 9 o'clock in the morning.
You good to meet with them? If we can?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm okay, I'll second.
I mean, I think it's good to have a conversation here, because if you hadn't brought it up, I wouldn't have known that.
Yep.
I mean, people have to know about it, and you got this side too, and I get that too. So get everybody together, and I'm sure it's not that it can be worked out easy.
Right. I think we give
A
them
lot
that
of people
opportunity.
didn't know, I sure didn't know their response time, when I saw them, I thought, man, because I've been in a situation where, you know, I had a test done, and I would, if I had messed my hand up, I would have bled out in 7 minutes.
And even if it doesn't get anything done, at least we have conversations and we know where people are coming from, and that, at least we have a little bit better understanding.
You know,
And we can attack it in a different way that
I
way.
will say, I do appreciate you bringing it to the table,
Yeah, I
because
agree.
I didn't know half of what I know now before this morning at 8 o'clock when I got on the phone. You know, made 4 phone calls, called Ronnie, made 10 more after that. I mean, I've made a bunch of phone calls in a day. I mean, I got the notice last week and was out of town and checked my email this morning, and wow. So it's been brought to light, and I think with the phone calls I made today, a lot of people know we're paying attention to it, so.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate it because again, these are conversations I've been having
Right,
for several months now, well, pretty much since Heartland took over.
right.
Trying to do my due diligence as a part of the daily responsibilities of my job, having the conversations, and again, keep asking for information that I'm not getting. So perhaps attending the meeting
Yeah,
is the right way to go to get that. And having other, opportunities, having more people, having you out all on the same page, can potentially help reach a conclusion to
and I
that.
referred back to the animal shelter when I talked to Ronnie earlier. I mean, I didn't know a whole lot about it, but talking to you and meeting with them down there put a whole lot more knowledge in my brain. So I wanna know the what, why, when, and how before I go to do anything else.
So we have a motion and a second to table. Motion was made by Chuck Eaton, second by Brian Hester. Any additional comments on tabling this for another month? All in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that's unanimous. So we'll put that back on the agenda for next meeting. Up next, I have the 254 Level Street rezoning. Tommy, did you want to present this on behalf of the staff and on behalf of the
Yeah.
planning commission?
Mr. Garrett from the petitioners, he apologized, he had a family emergency. So I told him I'll present. What it is down on June the 9th, the planning commission held a public hearing. They were requesting that we rezone down here at 254 Level Street, which is at Level and Short High. There used to be a duplex unit that caught fire. And they want to put in 6 units, but it'd be 3 duplex units. And so they need it's zoned as residential because that's how we blanket zone down here. But there is, what was presented to the board, there is, duplexes down there in that area. And so it's really pretty conceptually fine to do that. But that's what they're asking for, is a change to multifamily. Now, they would have to come back in front of us with a development plan, that way we'd be able to see what they're doing, what kind of thing. But they sent some pictures today, but they weren't exactly the best shots, but.
That's down there across from the old,
There's apartment trade.
across from the Mission Restaurant, right across the street here on Level.
It's across from the existing
Okay.
townhomes, so.
Yeah, where the townhomes are already at.
Right,
yeah.
And where there was a recent rezone for additional townhomes.
Yes.
on
the
the
down
corner.
Yeah.
So
It's in the same area.
conceptually goes with our plans.
Yeah.
So, but that's what they're asking for. Like I said, the planning commission made a recommendation of approval at that time.
Kind of fits the aesthetic there.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Chuck Deaton, is there a second? Second by Shannon Elder, any additional questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous, thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, sir. And the final thing was this pledge agreement on behalf of the Southern Indiana Tourism Board. So I think I might have told you guys a while back that we were the recipients of a $250,000 grant. And the grant that we're receiving is in the form of bond reduction. Essentially, the redevelopment commission every year pays roughly $250,000, I think it's just shy over that, but a bond payment on the Family Activities Park. And the purpose of this grant was to reduce that by basically making that yearly payment so that they can then invest in additional improvements, enhancements of the activities park. So along with that, the redevelopment commission is also providing a master plan for that facility. We've received over 600 responses on the survey for that and several in-person responses. It's been going very well to decide how best to use that $250,000. But this is the grant agreement, the pledge agreement with Southern Indiana Tourism Board that basically says they're going to give us this $250,000 and within 60 days we have to provide proof that we paid that bond payment with that money, which is no problem. Donna's office can take care of that. My biggest question about this for the attorneys and for Donna is that one of the stipulations of this agreement says that on the day of delivery of the grant proceeds, they're gonna wire them in and they have to be deposited into a special account held by the clerk treasurer entitled the 2025 Tourism Project Fund. And my question would be, does this agreement, is that all that you will need to create that fund, or will this council need to create that fund with another ordinance?
Create the
Both.
fund.
Yes. You'll have to do an ordinance on that.
Yep, okay,
Create
so,
the fund.
which is not a problem, because we can do that
Simple word, isn't it?
at the next
Yeah.
meeting, and there's still plenty of time within the receipts to make that happen. So this is just a pledge agreement. When we execute it, it goes back to them. They've already done their part of approval, and then we can draft that ordinance and have that before you to create that fund the next. And it'll just be a place basically where the money comes in and then gets paid out to pay that debt for the year, and that's that. Yeah,
It's good for state board of accounts when they audit, so they see the fund was created.
came in and went out. Yep. So that's what I'm asking you to approve, is this pledge agreement, so we can get this money. So,
Good.
I make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Brian Hester, a second by Ronnie Blevins. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I wouldn't think you would be, but thank you. It's unanimous. And then, Perry, can you work with Donna on
Yeah,
that?
if you'll just send me the information. Did you send it to me? I didn't see it. On that?
Bo Zeller was supposed to send you that, all that information. He didn't, you know how your email is.
Yeah, I'll reach out to him.
But we'll follow up and get that ordinance created so that we can get that approved at the next meeting. The final thing that I wanted to cover with you, I could have done this in your comments, but I forgot. You'll notice a different look to our agendas. This is so that we are in compliance with new legislation that went into effect July 1st. We are required on all of our agendas to provide the members of that body with their terms and whether they were elected or who appointed them. So you're gonna see that on all of our agendas. And then I also have this handy dandy note up here that I was supposed to read and didn't, that this meeting is being live streamed by Underproduction Multimedia. And Brian Smith has worked out with Underproduction Multimedia the process by which all the meetings will continue to be live streamed, but since Facebook only archives them, Facebook deletes lives after 30 days, and the law requires us to archive it for 90 days. And in good practice, we like to have it available even after that, because it's just good transparency. So we do have a YouTube page, and Charles and Brian have worked out an arrangement where they live stream it, and then they upload it to that YouTube page to be held in perpetuity. But at least for the 90 days that's required. So we are in compliance. And those who lead meetings, Ronnie for Planning Commission, read the note,
Okay.
don't do what I did, actually do it, that would be great. But that's why you see some of these changes. So,
And another thing, we have to, as a council, have to have a budget, not a budget, but treasurer noting that what money we spend as as elected official.
Oh, yes, thank you for mentioning that. So the other change was that, this is for all elected officials. So for every elected office holder who earns more than $5,000 a year, which you do, you are required now to complete you have to have an active campaign committee, candidate committee on file with the Clark County Clerk's office, and annually you will have to provide that annual report. Even if it's zero, even if you received and spent nothing, you still have to put 0 received, 0 spent, and file it by the deadline. Usually it's within the first 2 weeks of January that those are due for the annual report. So if you haven't set up that committee yet with the Clark County Clerk, of course, you need to get down
I think you got till, what, next Monday?
there. Yeah,
At the
you can get down
latest.
there and get that.
It
get
took
that
me,
form.
it took me 3 minutes.
It doesn't take long.
She'll email you, and you just fill out
Yep.
the email right back to her.
And just get that done.
I
But
walked,
I haven't received.
I walked in down there, it took me 3 minutes and
Yep.
she had it done.
It doesn't take long. You just have to basically declare that you have an active committee, and it can just be you. Doesn't-
Yep.
And get that on file. But that's all of
Get
us
that done.
sitting at the table need to do that. So, okay. I think that's it.
All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Chuck Eaton, second by Shannon Elder. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Don't forget to sign.